Well, welcome to all the homeschoolers out there to this virtual idea curriculum fair. I am Laurel Downing Bill, author of the Aunt Phil's Trunk series, which is filled with awesome Alaska history stories that will entertain and educate your student and also earn them their half a credit for Alaska history that they need to graduate for high school. So a little bit about the books. There are 5 books in the series. Each one is its own time period. So for instance, the first one is early days where the natives first come into the country, how they settled, where they settled, the different cultures, as well as Americans showing up after the purchase of Alaska and all the gold rushes. So it's a really fun book. The series won the 2016 Literary Classics Award, gold medal for the best nonfiction series worldwide. And so each book, as I said, its own time period, and I wanted it to be fun, entertaining, and educational. So each of the books is filled with short stories that will draw you wanting to turn the page and see what happens. And then also each book has at least 350 historical photographs. So that really keeps the history alive and moving along. So the first one, Early Days, goes up to the Klondike Gold Rush period, 1900-ish. The second one, you have the how they built our postal system, the first summiting of Denali, Law and Order years. And this one goes up then to 1912 when Alaska became a territory. Then the third one, this is 1912 to 1935 and is filled with stories about the Alaska Railroad, Anchorage, aviation history, the Matanuska Valley history. The red one, this is World War II up to statehood. So how Alaska was involved in World War II, the Eskimo Scouts guarding our coastline, so many stories, and then the struggle for statehood also is in this one. And then the last book, number 5, features early statehood. So how we formed our government, the Great Earthquake, flood in Fairbanks, many more stories as well. And so that's the 5 books in the series. Now the series, I am giving some specials just so you know, and we're talking about just the series right now. Normally it's close to $100 if you get all 5 books because they're $19.95 each individually. If you just want the 5-book series, I am selling these for our idea folks for $90 for the whole series. And that includes then my trivia puzzle book, which has filled with really fun Alaska history puzzles. There's word searches, word scrambles, and crossword puzzles. So that's about $110 value for $90 and free shipping on that. Now, if you want to go with the curriculum, which I developed after, oh my gosh, I can't tell you how many teachers and homeschooling parents begged me to develop a curriculum for this. So I did that about 2 years ago, and the curriculum is, each book is color-coded to the book it goes to. So each book has its own workbook for students as well as its own teacher guide to help the parents and teachers through the curriculum. So each book has its own student workbook and teacher guide to go with it. And my curriculum won the silver medal in education in 2018. It was only beat out for gold by a college course, so I think that's pretty cool. And again, keeping the theme of fun yet entertaining and educational, each workbook follows the chapters in the book. So these are like unit studies. And they are filled with quizzes, of course, comprehension questions, when we also created a lot of fun crosswords, word searches, and puzzles in every one of the curriculum books. And then for the parent teacher, I tried to think about a person who doesn't have a lot of time for grading. So for the parent teacher, I've created rubric grids that the parent teacher then can look at the quiz, look at the essay questions, and then see where their child falls and give them points. And then after they fill out their quiz and their essays and the parents have added up all the points, then you go to a page that lists the and so at the end of each unit then the children have got their quizzes. So you've got fill in the blanks, essay work, and then all the parent needs to do, oh, there's another cool word search puzzle. Then all the parent needs to do is go to the back of the unit, and you have got a cheat sheet here where you can fill in all the points that were assigned to the quizzes answers, and you add those up along with their rubric grid essay points and add up their totals, and at the bottom you'll find out what that total point means for an A, B, C, or D, hopefully not, to grade them. So you've got super easy grading system for you, and a lot of fun for the kids. So as I said, there is a workbook and a teacher guide for each of the books. Now, sold separately, if you got all 5 books in the series and all 5 student workbook and teacher guides for the series, it would cost you almost $350. But I do have a special going just for this Idea Fair time period where you get all of these for $250. I'm giving you $100 off, and I will be shipping them free for you. So it's $250, you get the entire system. Now, kids will look at that and think it's a lot of work, but remember, there's about 350 photos in every book, and so the reading is not that much in every book. It takes about 3 of these to go along with your half credit, your 1 semester. Most of my families want the whole thing, though, just to be honest with you, and so they'll use the 4th book with World War II for, say, World Studies, how Alaska fit into World War II. And also for statehood, they can use it for political science, and the same thing for the last one with political science. They've also used them for composition, for literature. So there's a lot of different ways that you can mix and match your different courses that you need and use all of the books in that way. So that's a lot of fun. If you only want the series, as I said, it's only $90 shipped to you. If you want the whole, what we call the mother load, then it is $250. You save $100 plus free shipping on each of these packages. As they say, however, wait, there's more. So if you want to continue your Alaska theme in your children's studies, we've also come up with a couple other cool books for you. This, The Call of the Wild, of course, very famous classic written by Jack London. And I've reproduced his work, and then I researched his life and wrote a nice biography about him. And while I was researching his life, I stumbled across about a dozen more short stories he wrote about the Klondike region and the era that I've included in here, along with his biography that I wrote in the back of the book. And then I've created a workbook and a teacher guide for this as well. So you could continue your Alaska theme with The Call of the Wild and other Northland stories, and along with the workbook and the teacher guide, which work exactly the same way as the workbook and teacher guide in my Alaska history series, Aunt Phil's Trunk. And then also, if you wanted to move on to poetry, who better to use as an example than Robert Service, The Spell of the Yukon and Other Verses. This is a reproduction of his very first book that was ever published. And again, I researched his life and wrote a nice biography about him. And then we've created a workbook and a teacher guide for this as well for poetry. So we teach children the different ways to make poems, different mechanisms they can use, and then they can experiment with their own poetry. So that's pretty cool too. The specials, normally the Call of the Wild, The Call of the Wild is $14.95 by itself, and the student workbook is $19.95, as well as the teacher guide is $29.95. I have a special, so instead of $60, almost $70, you'll be spending, I think it's $50 I have this one for. And then the special for the Robert Service, normally $14.95, $19.95, and the teacher guide $29.95. So you're around $65, and I have this on special for $45. And again, free shipping. So check the list on the PDF that I have down below this link, where you can look and see the different prices and what you're saving. Where the Sun Swings North might be another book that your kids would be really interested in. This is an adventure story. I started searching for Alaska's very first author, and it turned out to be Barrett Willoughby, 1923, wrote this one. And it's a story of a family marooned on an island in southeast Alaska for almost a year with only a month's worth of food. And it turns out this is based on her real life. And yes, I said her. Barrett Willoughby, her first name was Florence, but the publishers told her to use a male name because no one would buy a book written by a woman in 1923. So she used her maiden and her married name. So when she was 10 in real life, her dad got them stuck on an island, Middleton Island, in the Gulf of Alaska for a year with only a month's worth of food in 1896. And so this rings true because it comes from her own past, and it's an awesome story. And then another book that we have that they might enjoy is Rex Beach's The Spoilers. This is a fictionalized account of a true event in 1900 when you had all these crooks and con men that were up in Nome when all the gold was found on the beaches and no one had to claim a spot. It was public property. So you had 20,000 people all crammed into Nome. So this is a story of a crooked judge and a crooked lawyer and politicians from North Dakota who worked together to create a scam where they were stealing the best gold fields there in Nome. So this is his story. It came out in the early 1900s, and it really helped give give the lower 48 a taste of what Alaska gold rush was like. And so this one is a really fun book too. And so you could use this for literature as well as the Where the Sun Swings North. So these are kind of fun books too. And you'll find them on the link below on that PDF I've created for showing you the various prices for books. And I have a special on these as well. Judy Ferguson from Delta has semi-retired, and she asked me if I'd be willing to share some of her work with the Idea People. And of course, I'd be happy to because she's such an awesome writer. She's the author of Alaska's Little Chief. And this is the true story of a chief of the Tanana region growing up and learning as a boy, actually, to become a chief as he went hunting and trapping and learned his people's ways. And this is a beautiful story. So we have this book along with a CD she created that has got lessons in it. So you can use this for homeschooling. And this is for probably, second, third, fourth grade, could go up to fifth, I suppose. And then she also wrote The Windows to the Land, which is a wonderful book regarding interviews she did with Alaska Native elders. And so you've got, the Huslia Hustler, old George Atla from Huslia, Katie John, of course, synonymous with subsistence fishing rights. Many Alaska Native elder stories in here, and she created a CD that has got lessons in it. So both of these are available also on that link down below that shows you what all the prices are going to be for these. So this is another great way to help educate your children on the Alaska Native side of Alaska's history. Then I started thinking outside the box again. It occurred to me that I'm seeing a lot of this with our kids today, using their phones and not using their creative cells here to maybe create their own stories. So that led me to try and help kids come up with their own ideas for their own stories. So we created 3 journal guides with prompts. There's 31 prompts in each journal that will help the children come up with their own ideas with a lot of space. I also asked them to look at their observations during the day and maybe jot those down so they can go back and look at these journals later and come up with the new story ideas. So they have one for fiction writing, for self-discovery, and then also for poetry. And these 3 journals are for the younger set, I would say children 8 to 12. And then we also developed fiction and self-discovery and poetry for the 12 on up into adulthood, actually. So it's developed the same way, 31 prompts for each, and then also space to write their stories and places for them to write down their observations to help create new stories down the line. So these are normally $14.95, and I have them on special on that PDF that is below this video. I also have journals that I did for 30-day challenges to try and motivate people. One of them is a 30-day challenge for finding your purpose. What are you supposed to be doing with your life? And it gets kids to start thinking, and adults, to start thinking about things maybe they never thought about before. So you have some prompts in there. We also have a kindness journal. You know, in this day and age, and of course being cooped up, maybe people are learning to be a little bit more kind because they're stuck with their families so much. But this one we have prompts, 30-day challenge, how to become kinder. And there's a lot of space in each book to write down some ideas. And then the third one we have is gratitude. We kind of are becoming, I think, a society of people who are taking things for granted and feeling that they were entitled instead of being grateful for what they have, which I'm thinking maybe this coronavirus is teaching a lot of us to be grateful for what we have. And so this is a 30-day challenge, again, with prompts. Keeps you thinking about things you might not have thought about before and how you can help out other people as well. So each of these are on the PDF that we have got down underneath this link, and you can check those out with the specials that are on them as well. Now, I know a lot of my Alaska homeschoolers are also enjoying my sourdough cookbook. In 1896, my great-granddad was one of those first miners who came up and actually helped settle Hope, Alaska. He did find a lot of gold, but he eventually lost it. But the biggest thing that he did for us is he created sourdough. And so this has been in my family for 125 years, and I've learned to dry it. So there's a packet of dried sourdough in the back of the cookbook. These are all recipes that I developed myself, and they're using ingredients that you'll have around your house. So all you and your children need to do is take that packet, add water and flour over a period of 3 days. By that 4th day, you have a 125-year-old sourdough starter bubbling in your kitchen. So when you're working on the Alaska, the gold rush era, it would be a lot of fun to be able to make the pancakes and breads and biscuits just like those miners had to do. So that's fun. Now, IDEA does pay for this. It's only $14.95 and it comes with the starter. One thing they don't pay for, but a lot of my families really enjoy too, I found a local potter here in the Anchorage area who hand makes every one of my little sourdough pots. So you have a ceramic sourdough pot, you get your wooden spoon, birch syrup from Talkeetna, from the Kahalitna Birch Company, so that's kind of fun. And then of course your sourdough starter, and then a lid that you can use as well. So that's fun too. Now this is $50 for the kit, but the IDEA does not pay for that. They will pay and reimburse you for the cookbook. But I do sell this separately on my website. It's only $50 if you get the whole thing, but you'll have to private message me too, because normally I sell the whole thing for $64.95 for my IDEA families instead of $75. So you do save money with it, but you'll have to private message me on the pot so that we can arrange payment for that separately from the book. Now, we don't want to forget about the little brothers and sisters who may not be old enough yet to get into the Alaska history studies. My daughter, there she is, Kim Sherry. She's an award-winning Alaska artist, and she created this wonderful children's book. It's called Raven's Friends, Alaska Animals Far and Wide, and every page has a wonderful Alaska animal on it, and then a little something about the animal. So this is a beautiful children's book. I would say ages probably, 3 to 7 age. And then we also have The Dragline Kid, written by a dear friend of mine that I helped her publish this. It's her true story of being a little girl growing up in Hope, Alaska. And so we have her wanting to find a gold nugget like her daddy, and it's a wonderful little story of hope and follow your dreams, they can come true kind of a story. And then this is my newest one for children. It's Alaska Animals ABCs. I was watching my grandson in California do his alphabet with A is for apple, B is for banana, and I thought, well, heck, he's part Alaskan. We need to have something, for the kids of Alaska to use. So we have A is for albatross, B for bear, C for caribou, whatnot. And so the children, there's a lot of room for them to be able to practice their letters using Alaska Animals as their guide, a little something about the animals. And then we also have number practice in the back of the book, showing them, if they count 1, 2, they see the number, they know that means 2. And so that's really cool too. In the very back, we have some Alaska animal facts as well. So Each of these books are $9.95 each, or my special down below on the PDF, you'll see you get all 3 for $25. So that's something to consider for the younger generation as well. So I want to thank you so much for spending time with me today, and I hope this is helping you, and I hope you will look at the PDF checklist, and all you have to do, it's interactive. You fill in the check boxes of how many you want of everything, and then you'll total up at the bottom and then pass that on to your idea people, and they will place the order with me. And again, free shipping. So that only lasts for people who order between I think it's April 29th and May 7th. So while this fair is in operation, this virtual fair. So thank you again. And really, if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. You'll find my link here on my website, or call me 907-230-7903, and I'll be happy to chat with you if you have any questions about my products. So thanks again, and happy Alaska History to you.